He's pulled the shirt on, scored the goals. Andy Campbell on the red.
This is the red.
Oh, he's back. He's back. The man who's pulled the shirt on, who's put the boots on, who's, played at Anfield without a number on his back. That's always a good one, that one, mate. And
Best story in football.
Actually, just give me an idea for a quiz question, because on the breakfast show, on the red, Ted, who's the resident Mackham, he started this quiz called What the Fact. You've got to be very careful how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And
especially his accent.
He keeps giving us the odd question. He sets 4 questions. He drips them in one at a time. You've got to try and guess what the fact was, and we killed him today. We got it today. But I'm just thinking,
bamboozle him.
That would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah, bamboozle him.
That would work. I wonder if there's any other player played without a number on the back there.
No, not to my knowledge. I hope he's not listening.
No, he wouldn't listen to the Red. He's a Mackham. He listens to the Cat, the other radio station up there. But there you go. Andy Campbell with Cam's Red Army. How are you, mate?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, all Boro fans. It's been a good midweek. It's been a up and down week, full week, I guess.
Hasn't it?
Yeah.
Hasn't it? Yeah.
The joys of being a Boro fan.
Mate, we are absolute masters of grabbing defeat from the jaws of success,
totally.
But then every now and again we go and surprise ourselves.
Yeah, totally.
You do Leicester and you think, great, we'll go to Bristol City and get 3 points.
Yeah.
Lose. But then you take apart Preston, who are several places higher than in the table. They've been up to 3rd and 2nd earlier on in the season. I mean, it's a fair amount for us to chew over.
Yeah, plenty. The good, the bad and the ugly. And probably that's just a Preston game in one, because... I think just that game alone. But I think you've just said it there. Being a Boro fan, you get the highs and you get the lows, and the season as a whole so far. I think when the season finally does end, I think it'll have been an emotional roller coaster for everybody involved. Yeah, the manager and the players as well, because you know what I mean. I think everyone's been through it already, and we're not even at Christmas, which is a scary thought. Yeah, I know. We've had this chat, haven't we, about. Normally it's Christmas and New Year, which are the defining spell, if you like, the defining 3 or 4 weeks for your season. It basically tells you where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing. But we had that chat about it's this spell now that's defining for the Boro because of who we're playing. We're playing all the teams above us. Yes, we've beaten Leicester. Didn't expect that one. Threw points away. Yes, we've beaten Preston. We've got Leeds to come. We've got West Brom to come. Hull to come, etc., etc. So we've had that chat. But what's it like as a player with that roller coaster of results and performances? It's great, I know, if you're consistently beating people and tearing them apart. We've had that run. I suppose it's not great if you're going out there playing badly and not getting points. But if you're consistently bad, at least you know what you've got to do. Yeah. What's it like with the roller coaster that we're seeing? I think it's important that games come thick and fast, especially after a defeat. I think the most important thing after the Bristol City game was another game coming quickly. I think if we had to wait till the Saturday, I think the outcome will have been very different. I think we seemed a bit wounded against Preston, and I think they took the backlash. And I think you're always going to get a team who takes the backlash. Someone's been probably there for the taking and going to get a good hiding off us. Yeah. And unfortunately for Preston, it was them who got it. But I think it's come off the back of probably a frustrating weekend on the back of a defeat, which probably shouldn't have been a defeat in terms of you come back from 2-0 down and you get yourself in the cusp of getting something from the game, if not just hanging on for a point, which would have been a good solid point away from home. From 2-0 down would have been a great result. But I know I spoke about after Christmas we're going to play a lot of the bottom sides, but I looked at Sunderland in the week yesterday and they get beat by Huddersfield at home. So amazing. I think you look at the bigger picture, anybody can beat anybody. It's just important that you stay around the mix, because the mix can change very dramatically very quickly if you don't pick enough points up. And I know Rob's point a couple of weeks ago was we've had so many defeats this season, and can we afford any more? We've got another one Saturday. We've got a horrible game coming up the weekend, you know what I mean, in terms of who we're playing and how they're playing. It'll be Middlesbrough all over to go there and get a solid victory. But you know what I mean, but it's going to be a very, very tough game, and Leeds will fancy the chances because they're playing with confidence. Oh, big time. I mean, they're the informed team up there at the moment,
when you look at the current form. You're saying anybody can beat anybody. You know, Sheffield Wednesday, last gasp equaliser against Leicester City.
Against the best side.
Who'd have thought that?
I know.
Who'd have thought we'd have beaten Leicester? But there's always a chance the Boro can pull out those results. Yeah. But the way Sheffield Wednesday are playing at the moment, you'd have thought it was going to be 5 or 6-0.
No, totally. And Leeds Rotherham joined against Leeds, and you know what I mean. Rotherham are taking points off other people. Plymouth are taking points off other teams. That, you know what I mean. It's concerning, because my point is that we can't afford to lose too many more games, and with anybody seeming to be beating anybody, we can't afford to not close the gap. We close it one week and then the gap gets bigger the next, and because we're playing teams in and around us, which is the dangerous time to play them.
Absolutely. Let's dive into some messages and then we'll get into some specific points, but we do like to, if you're going to take the time out to send messages into Andy, then we do like to read them out, and we do like to get there. If you want to get your messages in, you can via Facebook Live. We're live on Facebook Live, so we see you in all your glory, mate. And also on the red across Teesside, DAB radio, online, smart speakers, apps, all that sort of stuff. And there's 2 ways you can get your messages in. If you're watching on Facebook Live, like many are, and we're going to get there now, where you can just leave your message alongside the live stream, absolutely no problem. You can WhatsApp us in the studio. You can send us a WhatsApp message. The number is 0330 043 2002. That's 0330 043 2002. You can actually come on and chat. So if you fancy WhatsApping that number, tell us your name, tell us the point you want to make, and we can give you a call back and have a chat live on Cam's Red Army with former Boro striker Andy Campbell. So that's what you need to do. That number again for WhatsApp, 0330 043 2002. If you don't understand Teessideese, 0330 043 2002. Stu Gawley in Canada. Evening, everyone. Good win against Preston. Doesn't matter how they played. We did our job, got the points, 4 goals as well. Up the Boro, with another letter in there, which we can't say on the radio. Radio Dad double dipping again. That's the nickname the breakfast guys are giving me, Radio Dad. Thanks, love it. Stu. Love it. Yeah, thank you.
Just on Stu's point there, Dave, about you can only beat what's in front of you. You know what I mean? However bad people think that Preston were, you've still got to do your own job.
And they were bad.
I mean? They were poor. They were I think they're the worst team I've seen this season in terms of who they play against. I thought Sheffield Wednesday were poor, but in the second half, but these were worse. And I think the worst because of where they've been in the league, where they currently are. They didn't offer anything going forward. I thought at the back they were poor, but we still had to create the chances. I thought we got in and behind them on a number of occasions. The most disappointing thing that we didn't score more goals, and Isaiah didn't get his hat-trick, Rodgers didn't get a goal. There's certain things that I would have liked to see. You know, I mean, listen, I'm not getting greedy and above my station. We won 4-0. It's a fantastic result in the Championship, but
3-0 up just after half an hour, mate.
I think there was more opportunities and easier opportunities that we could have just gone and just put the sword further in, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Rye, not that Rye down under, did I? But Rye in Plymouth's he's got split loyalties as Rye, but he's a regular. He's a good lad. Yeah. He's a Plymouth fan, but he loves the Boro.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Yeah, absolutely. So, evening, Andy. Good evening, Dave. Nice to have you with us, Rye, on WhatsApp. And if you want to come on and have a chat, mate, just let me know on the old WhatsApp and we'll give you a bell. If you just want to send us a message, that's equally fine. So thanks for your message. Mo, Ibra. Hello, guys. Brilliant win versus Preston. Bring on Leeds United.
You couldn't go into a game with any more confidence. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about both sides. I think that the spectacle of a game is going to be amazing. The atmosphere is always electric. You know what I mean? Leeds fans at home. It's always going to be an electric atmosphere. It'll be a phenomenal tempo. It's the team who handles the pressure and the occasion the most. Yep. Leeds will be very used to it. I think. I don't know if any of our so-called first-team players, better players, if you're talking about the Hayden Hackneys, the Dale Fries, if you put Josh Coburn back in, the big players who he's believed in and he stuck by. Yeah. If you'll give them an opportunity and put them back in after such a good win, be disappointed obviously for the players who, if they did come out after a 4-0 victory, but whoever plays in that red shirt will have to handle the atmosphere first and foremost, the occasion, and make sure that you do your jobs, because they'll hit you with a tempo, they'll hit you with a purpose. And I looked at the Swansea game last night, and the Leeds go 1-0 down after 2 minutes, and you think, here we go, you know what I mean, let's see how they react. And they reacted straight away from kick-off. They go and score straight away, and it calms things down. If you can handle that first 10 minutes and get the crowd on your back, then Middlesbrough will have done the job. But you need to make sure that you do that kind of role. It's an unselfish role that players have to do sometimes.
Yeah. Back into the messages. Stu Golly's come back. He said, "What the fact is classic." It's a brilliant one. It's a brilliant intro. What the fact? I mean, what a name! And he did it deliberately just to try and get me into trouble with my license. What the fact today? I'll give you the questions. I got it.
Go on.
I'll give you the questions. Question number 1. Basically, it's a fact.
Yeah.
And he gives you clues to that fact, and you've got to come out with that fact.
Right.
So a couple of days ago, they were talking. The facts are all to do with. Oh my goodness, what was it? It was to do with Chelsea. Excuse me 1 second. So I haven't got rid of that cold. It was to do with Chelsea holding the Champions League and the Europa League titles at the same time. It was a 10-day spell.
Right.
I think it was during COVID and something was pushed back and all that. So they held both trophies. So he was giving you clues towards that. So this morning's was clue number 1. Hola. Which immediately made me think Spain.
Yeah.
Cup triumph. It was a cup triumph that's never happened before or since. So that was the first one. Hola, cup triumph that never happened before or since. Question number 2. Stop playing with yourself. Was a clue.
Right. Okay.
Question 3. The club in question both won and lost, all in the same game. And then question 4, who's the real winner? So there were the 4 clues on what the fact, and I managed to get it, but it was really fun. I mean, I've got to be honest. It's 2-1 to the Mackem because we've only got 1 right out of 3.
Yeah.
And the answer was, and it was a total bit of Sherlock Holmes-ishness on my part, which is, hola Spain.
Yeah.
A cup triumph that's never happened before, so it's a one-off.
Yeah.
So it's a cup win, which was unique.
Yeah. On those 2, I was thinking the Women's World Cup winners. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's where I was going as well.
That's where it was going down. Then I've sorted myself out the next one.
Stop playing with yourself.
Yeah, that's what put me off.
Yeah. So, how can you play with yourself in football? How can a team play with itself in a unique game? The club both won and lost in the same game. So that immediately, those 2 tied together and immediately told me it had to be an A team against a B team in some sort of cup final.
Yeah.
Because it's the one club that's playing with itself.
Yeah.
So stop playing with yourself and you win and lose the same game.
Yeah.
And then who's the real winner? Real Madrid.
Real.
So it's like Real Madrid, complete guess, did their A team play their B team in the Spanish Cup final?
Yeah.
And it happened once.
Yeah.
And that's it. Well, it was Real Madrid's A team against the reserves team.
Yeah.
Don't know how that happened, but there you go.
Play on words.
So it's a great. It makes you think.
Yeah,
and that's why Stu, I'm supposed to be talking about football, Andy.
I'd be interested. So what do you do? Do you come up with the questions first, or the fact? Or
you come up with the fact and then find some questions to fit in. Yeah, to give you clues. Yeah, it's good. We get up to all sorts of dumb stuff. I tell you on the breakfast show. You have to come and join us, mate. Come and spend a show with us.
Good.
Rye's an absolute nutcase. Rye in Australia is an absolute nutcase. Where are we at here? Ian's there. Good evening, everyone watching. Hope you're well. Have a great day. And you, mate. Mo Ibra. Andy, you got any tales to say on the late Terry Venables, who sadly passed away? He will be missed by everybody. The fans showed great respect at the Preston game.
Yeah, no, totally. It was a shock. Obviously, I know he's been unwell, and I think sometimes you forget, don't you, that when I did play back in the day, that you forget how old some people are now. You know what I mean? And I think you realise that
he was 80, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that when I heard that.
And I think that's what it is. You know, when I'm 16, 17, 18, and you're playing and you're loving life, and people aren't that old. Yes, they're probably at an age where, similar age as what parents are and things, but then now you're at another level now, and it is such a shame. And Terry was such a genuine nice guy, and obviously I was disappointed at the time when he came in, and you know what I mean, not to sound really disrespectful, because obviously that meant that Brian was struggling at the time, because he was struggling. It was an open admission that he was struggling. Yeah, he was, and that obviously hurt, because I had a really strong relationship with the manager. But then when he came in, I realised that they worked so well together. The camaraderie they had together, the relationship they had together with working from England, and they just bounced off each other, and straight away the manager, just his whole persona just changed, because he knew he had the right person around him, the right person who could just shore everything up. You know what I mean? Worked a lot of things on defensive shape, and I remember when we went to Highbury to play Arsenal, and we absolutely blew them away. I think it was 3-0 or 3-1 or something, and Dean Gordon scored, and I think Brian Dean scored, and I think Hamilton might have scored. And it was just, we were unplayable.
Yeah.
And I mean that they couldn't handle what we brought to the table. We were stubborn. We were hard to beat. We played in areas which they just couldn't live with us. We broke on them, and I think we were 3-0 up after like a silly amount of time. And the rest of the game, other managers and probably Brian himself might have gone gung-ho and gone for that 4th and 5th and 6th and tried to the Kevin Keegan style, because that's how he enjoyed to play his football. But Terry we're sticking at 3. We've won the game. Just be stubborn, see it out, and that was just the genius of the man, you know. And listen, I was very lucky to play with him, to get to know him in his brief time at Middlesbrough. But for me, the Euro '96 legacy which he left, and the heroes that were made on that tournament, and he was one of them, by the way. That, you know, I mean, those memories will never be forgotten from a true football fan. Should
he have been given a renewal of his contract?
100%. 100%. He was brilliant at what he did, but I think he wasn't the name what everybody wanted, you know. And I think that's what it probably wasn't the style that everybody liked. And I think that's probably what it is. I think football was evolving, or starting to evolve, and people could see it as negative. We're playing, but it's effective. Winning games of football and you're being successful. It's positive. But I probably understood, and he probably understood, and that's why he floated around and got the jobs that he got. But listen, you don't become Barcelona manager, you don't become England manager, you don't become Middlesbrough manager if you're bad at your role, you know. So such a shame, but what a send off what Middlesbrough fans and Middlesbrough Football Club gave him off, because,
and to be fair, the Preston fans, they were applauding as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think there's been a lot this year who've sadly a lot of very, very good people who've lost their lives within the football family, and the send off that they're getting, because they all deserve it, because the heroes, the legends of the game, and for me, they shouldn't be forgotten. The legacy's got to stay there. It's got to be remembered.
He was a good singer as well. Were you ever in a social situation where you heard him sing?
Probably not.
He was a crooner.
Yeah, he was just a nice. He loved a social. He loved a couple of drinks, but at the time, everybody seemed to.
So, what was it about his tactical nous then that made him so special?
He just seemed to know the game, and I think that probably came with being in Spain at a very younger age, in terms of knowing how a technical team worked, and playing with those kind of players, and the importance of keeping the ball. I think when you look at the Premier League and you look at the Championship, I thought, especially at times at the weekend, especially, we were sloppy in possession, whereas Terry made sure how important it was to keep the ball. If you keep the ball, you can't lose.
And
that's that sounds really simple and really stupid. You know what I mean? Football's not a hard game if you look at the simplified side of it, and Terry was very clever at saying those kind of things. And if you keep the ball, you'll win the game, because the chances are that they won't have the ball, they can't score. If you score more goals than they score, you're going to win the game. And it's little comments which sometimes, when you take yourself out of the pressure, and you take yourself and you calm yourself down, and you listen to what people are saying, and don't get involved in that heat of the moment, the kind of thing, that he was just very calm and collective at the right time. And I think that he was the right fit for Middlesbrough. He's the right fit for the manager. And it was just a shame that obviously things ended the way that they ended, because obviously they both ended up leaving the football club, and then I followed quite soon after, really. So it didn't surprise me that happened.
It's Robbo I felt sorry for at that time, because by bringing El Tel in, it was an open admission that he was struggling.
Yeah.
And he couldn't win. It was a no-win scenario for Robbo, because you know, if it was successful and the Boro stayed up and then they flourished, it would all be down to El Tel coming in to help.
Yeah.
If they went down, it'd be too. You know, it was an impossible job for Terry. Yeah. It was too late, and so Robbo couldn't win, could he?
No, it was, and I think that was a shame for me that he was still there. He looked like a wounded animal. He looked hurt, because he knew that he needed help. But it's like when you're struggling at times with certain things and you ask for help. You don't want to ask for help because you don't want to feel that you can't do what you do and you can't do your own job in it. The players knew that they wanted to do it for the manager. The players knew they wanted to do it for themselves and each other and the fans and the club, and we got there in the end by hook or by crook and doing it the right way. But it did have probably a bit of taste.
Told you a bit about Gibbo though, didn't it? Because probably 99% of all owners, and bearing in mind there's only 92 clubs in the English professional leagues, 99% of the owners would have turned around and fired the manager and brought somebody else in
straight away.
But Gibbo went to Robbo and said, "What can I do to help?"
Yeah, straight away. And I think that's the understanding side that Steve brings. And people talk about Steve being the best owner in football. Why is he the best owner in football? Because he understands what the club needs. He doesn't make rash decisions. Yes, he's made in a few people's eyes over the years, a few questionable decisions at the right time, but he does
Everybody makes mistakes.
He does it for the right reasons of the football club. You know what I mean? He doesn't do it. He hasn't got a notorious history of sacking managers. He hasn't got a history of making the wrong decisions. You know what I mean? He's backed the club. He's put his money where his mouth is, and he made this decision to help the club and keep them in the Premier League.
Help Robbo.
That's what it was. He was trying to help someone.
He could have helped the club by getting rid of Robbo and bringing somebody in.
Yeah, and that probably would have been the better choice. You know what I mean? But then he probably wouldn't have got Terry in, because Terry came for the manager. So you're never going to get that person to come in who may have looked at he was stabbing his best mate in the back and things. So for me, it worked well. He made the right choice. He made the right call at the time. But yeah, it was for the players. I think it was a bit of a strange one.
Yeah. Ian in Darlow says more people should ask for help. We're all here to help each other. It's simple, which is interesting the way he's turned it around into normal life rather than just football life. Couple of quick comments coming in. You can get them in, by the way, on Facebook Live. Just drop them in. We'll get to them. We'll do our best. Or you can do it, and hang on a minute, there's more and more coming in. You can do it via the WhatsApp into the radio studio, which people are doing. Who's this? Let's have a look. I'm going to have to... Sorry, I'm just clicking on things here to see. Oh, it's Rob. Okay. Rob sent a message in saying, Andy says, you don't become a Boro manager if you're bad at your job. I'll see that and raise you with Gordon Strachan.
Love it, Rob. Love it, Rob.
I've got a history, mate, of slagging off Gordon Strachan.
Love it.
Because he didn't do that good a job with the Boro, did he really?
No, he didn't.
Poor Mogger had to pick up a right pile of doings.
He did.
Tracy, we've done. Ian, we've done. Anna, we've done. Dave Spence says hi. Hello, Dave. Paul Frost, fear no one, is his message.
It's a good message. I think in the Championship you've got to be a little bit ruthless. You've got to be a little bit arrogant. And I look at the top sides. I'll put Leicester in there, even though they're having a bit of a sticky patch. Leeds are in there. They've got that arrogance. You know what I mean? They've got that strut about themselves. That they're just going into games thinking they're gonna score more goals. A little bit like we did last year. You know what I mean? That was how we played last year. We played that you'll score 2, we'll score 4. You know what I mean? We'll score the first goal, we'll score more. Leeds have got that arrogance. You know what I mean? We scored 4 on through midweek. Absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic. My concern is like the Bristol City game of the weekend. We go 1 down, we seem to go 2 down, and we're chasing our tails a little bit. You do that against a good side, you're not going to get back against them. You know what I mean? The bonus and the plus at the weekend was Bristol City aren't one of the top sides, so we got back into the game. Yes, we lost it in the end, but we got opportunities to get back in through a couple of very poor goals. The own goal was any Boro fan who's seen it, the own goal from Bristol City's player was absolute laughing stock. You know what I mean? It gives us a real opportunity to get back in the game, but against a good side that doesn't happen. So we just need to make sure we do a professional and thorough job against the best sides, and Saturday will be one of those games that every single player needs to be bang on their game.
Another Rob's fired in. It's the bottom sides I fear. That's typical of the Borough, though, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. And like we said, Dave, about Huddersfield, I know a lot of Sunderland fans, and I spoke to a couple this morning about the game last night, and they're gobsmacked that they lost the game of football, because not that they deserved to win the game of football in their words, but they went into it thinking that they were going to win. Like you do, you're playing against a side who's in the bottom 3, and you know what I mean, it becomes a very dangerous animal, football, when teams are beating teams from anywhere, and the bottom 3 are winning games, because Sheffield Wednesday get a point against the top side, Huddersfield win, Rotherham have picked points up recently, so the bottom 3 are starting to pick up a little bit of confidence and a little bit of composure themselves, and could they get out of where they are? If they're going to do it, then they're going to pick some points up along the way against some good sides.
For those watching on Facebook Live, you can see. For those listening on the Red across Teesside on DAB radio, smart speakers, online, apps, all that sort of stuff, it is the voice of Andy Campbell, former Boro striker, and you can get your points to him, whether on Facebook Live or via WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number into the radio studio, 0330 043 2002. And if you fancy coming on a call, all you got to do is WhatsApp us and say, "Oh, this is Joe in Billingham. I've got a question for Andy," and we'll give you a call back. So 0330 043 2002. Let's do it. So, hark back to Bristol City.
Yeah.
So we come off the back of a 1-0 victory over table-topping Leicester City. I tried to use as many adjectives there as I could to make it sound really good, which it was. You then go to Ashton Gate, and you're 2-0 down. Everything's looking woeful. Manage to get you in at half-time, sort you out, you come back, you pull it back to 2-2. Surely, from that point, there can only be one winner in the game.
I don't even think we probably should have left ourselves that wide open to go for another goal to leave ourselves exposed. I think when you go 2-0 down and you get back at 2-2, a point's a really good outcome and a return. You know what I mean? Then to go 3-2 down, the chances are you ain't going to pick that other goal back up to go and get another point. And for me, I think sometimes you just accept that it's not going to be our day, for example, to go and get 3 points, and just accept it that the second goal at Bristol City, the penalty, right on the stroke of half-time, it kills you a little bit in terms of probably the team talk, because Michael will have probably been ready what he was going to say. His tactics will have been spot on in his head. He'll have wrote things down ready to go. The penalty happens, rips it up, and he has to start again. And that's the joys of being a manager. It's the joys of doing what he's doing, and he'll have enjoyed the way that his team came out second half. We got such a helping hand with the own goal, and then Crooks got the equaliser, and then all of a sudden you've got to take stock again. Do you take a risk, and do you leave yourself open, and which we did, we got beat 3-2, and then you're chasing your tail again? Or do you just sit, accept a point, and then move on? A point on the board at this stage of the season from where you've been and the results that we've lost would have been a real solid 4 points this week. Would have been a great turnover, I think. And it's such a it left us with a bit of a bitter taste, but then it's all forgotten about on Tuesday, which was fantastic. But we just need to make sure, I think for me, if you're picking up 4 points a week, one away and 3 at home, it's promotion form. It's not just playoff form, it's promotion form.
Yeah. It's an interesting one though, isn't it? Because at 2-2, you know, the momentum is with you.
Yeah. Because
you've come back from 2-0 down. And I suppose it's so easy to think, right, they're rocking now. If we can take this, so wouldn't human nature be we just keep going at them now, and we've got the game won? Well,
I think I told you a story, Dave, didn't I? That when I was a manager in non-league football, in my interview, I was talking to a chairman who gave me that scenario. He said, "You're drawing a game last minute. What do? Do you accept a point, or do you go for a jugular and go and try and win 3?" I said it all depends on the game. You know, it all depends on the situation of the game. It all depends how the game's panning out. But for me, a point gained is better than a point lost.
Yeah.
But his way of looking at it was, no, because if you go for it throughout the season, you're going to gain more points overall in the long-term process, which made me think about things a little bit differently. And yes, in that one game you might gain a point, but in a couple of weeks' time you might go and get 2, which then takes over that 1 point that you've just lost. So, and
the week after you might fall flat and lose the point that you had. I can see his argument.
It's a positive way of looking at it.
Yeah.
As a football fan, would we want our team just to keep going for it and going for it and going for it? Yes, because it shows that you want to win games. But if we miss out the 2 in the top 2 by a point, or we don't get in the playoffs by a point, you look at those kind of games and those kind of situations and think,
I look at the league table now and think, you look at it and you go, if we only had that point, if we only had that 2-2 draw now, you know, we'd be that bit higher, because I think everybody, the whole table's on 27 points around us.
Seems to be.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but I suppose as a fan, you know, we don't know football inside out like players, like managers, coaches. You know, we'd think, oh, they must be rocking now, so let's go for the jugular. And
that's what it is. Listen, we could be sat here now with 6 out of 6. We could have blew them away second half and got 2 more goals, win 4-2.
Yeah.
And that's just football. You know what I mean? You take every game into isolation itself, and you know what I mean? Did we expect to be 2-0 down at half time? Not before the game started, but they were probably value for their performance. I thought they were better than I thought they were going to be. They have got some good players. Obviously, the manager has had an impact in the international break and got them playing in a way that it hurt us. And yeah, it's football. Listen, you're gonna drop points, you're gonna win points, you're gonna lose games. We spoke with Rob the other week about not losing too many games. That's another one on the board which we lost. How many more games? And I'll throw the question out to Middlesbrough fans. How many more games can we afford to lose, which will impact on us getting in the playoffs this season?
I suppose
that's my concern.
I'll do the reverse psychology on you that you did to that chairman of the football club that was asking you the questions. I suppose it's a case of what the others do around you.
Yeah.
You know, if Leicester, Leeds, Ipswich, etc., all start dropping points like some of them are.
Yeah.
You can afford maybe to drop more than you would in a normal season,
Yeah.
but yeah, it depends. Paul Frost's been back on and said, hey, we were 2-0 down at Bristol last season and ended up getting a 2-2.
Yeah.
So we tried to go one better this year and it cost us the point. So obviously there was that disappointment, but then it was straight into Preston midweek. How important was it after what was a disappointing game, a disappointing outcome, to then not even have time to dwell on it because you've got a game on the Tuesday night?
Oh, absolutely pivotal for me. I think it's so important for a player to get back on that horse. You know what I mean? You've just had a poor result. You're travelling back on the bus, or you're flying back, or however they get back from Bristol. You know what I mean? Straight away, you'll be in training on Sunday. You'll be preparing straight away for the game on Tuesday. It's a quick turnaround. And they came out against Preston, and we had a corner after 45 seconds, and we just started like a house on fire. You know what I mean? I think we caught them really cold. We created chance after chance. We won second balls. For me, the midfielders, I thought Matt Crooks was phenomenal. He winning second ball. He was on the front foot. He was just dominating areas and dominating the game where Hayden Hackney's been doing it, Sam Greenwell's been doing it, and people, you don't expect that from someone like Matt, and I'm not being disrespectful towards it. For me, he does a great job and a role that he would like to do, but for me, he did that role and he executed it absolutely amazingly. And Rodgers in that pocket, playing as the 10, the balls he put through, his 2 goals are phenomenal. His second finish was absolutely fantastic. How he didn't get his hat-trick and why he didn't shoot for this third one in the first half is just beyond me, and I know a couple of my friends on the manager really well, and I know at half time he wasn't best pleased that we weren't more than 3-0 up. I think he thought we should have been 5-6, and that probably would have been a fair reflection on the game. And but that's the standards that Michael's got of his players. That's the standards Michael's got of himself. That 3's not enough. In the Championship, 3's not enough. You know what I mean? Teams can blow you away like we blew them away. Yeah. If you switch off, you go 1, you go 2.
Suddenly,
under
goal, pressure,
a penalty. Yeah. So for me, if you get an opportunity to go and get 3, 4, 5, 6, go and take it, because you never know, that goal difference might have an impact later on in the season.
We talked about earlier, if you want to get on the show and make a point, ask a question of Andy, you can WhatsApp us in the radio studio. The number is 0330 043 2002. Somebody who's done that is Rye, who's down in Plymouth. So Rye is, if I can describe you, as maybe a 60-40 split, Rye. 60% Plymouth Argyle, 40% Boro. But it doesn't matter.
I think
go on then.
I think it's a bit more closer than that. I think it's more 51-49.
Really? Oh, I love the accent.
Yes.
It's the first time we've talked, actually. We've messaged many times, but now I'm hearing you. I love that southwest accent, mate.
Thanks. So good evening to you both.
Hello, mate.
Really great.
And thank you, by the way, for doing Sunderland.
I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe it. I mean, my eyes were set. I mean, they had 24 shots, and how they never scored. They hit the post twice, and I'm like, wow.
I think we've spoke, haven't we? And I know we've had a few chats about Plymouth, and I know we've talked Plymouth on the show, Dave, haven't we? About how dangerous Plymouth are as a football club in terms of they've come up with no fear. They've come up that teams probably think they're a small club. They can get at them. There's weaknesses. There's always goals in the game, but they've caused a lot of problems to a lot of the big sides. And the manager's got no fear. He's done a great job. He's come up the leagues. He's had his great upbringing in football at that club and at other clubs. And he's got a real good squad of football players. And I think the problem Plymouth will have over the next year or two will be trying to keep hold of those players and not them moving to bigger and better clubs, and not being disrespectful towards the football club. But this year they're going to cause a lot of problems. They're going to take points off players, teams, especially at home, because it's a horrible place to go as home park. Horrible team.
Yeah, we score goals.
I mean, we went to Leeds 3 weeks ago. Well, 2 weeks ago, actually. And we went 1-0 down from a mistake in the defence, and then went 2-0 down from another mistake. And then second half, we came out fighting against them and got a goal in the 86th minute, lost 2-1. And there was Leeds fans saying, "You're not going down."
Really?
I think right for me. I think there's a lot of teams in this league, and there's a lot of northern teams, as in Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, teams who are lesser equipped than the Plymouths and other sides. I think you'll pick up a lot more points in this division because the manager's got fresh ideas. He's got some players from lower leagues and players who come through and have earned their opportunities. I think sometimes that teams are ready to get promoted, and I think Plymouth were ready there for me, ready to get promoted. And I look at the Premier League, you know what I mean, Luton weren't ready to get promoted, you know what I mean, Middlesbrough would have been more well equipped to get promoted, as will Coventry City, you know what I mean. There's a lot of teams more well equipped to get promoted and have a go at that than they were. Sometimes teams are ready and teams aren't ready, and I think Plymouth were ready to get promoted, and I think they've showed that this year that they've excited. They've been probably a good side to watch. I think with the highlights on TV on a Saturday night, they're normally the team to have on all the time because it's goals galore. It always seems to be quite a lot of action.
Yeah, there is always goals galore, and it's our defence that's lacking. But to be honest, if you score more than what you defend, you win games, don't you?
But that's a learning curve, though, isn't it? You know what I mean, right? That we speak about last season quite fondly because it was an attractive way of playing. That we let goals in last season, but we scored more than the other team because we had players who wanted to go forward. They were expansive. It was exciting, and you know what I mean. Look at football years gone by. Brian Robson did it. We had an expansive way of playing. We shipped goals in, but we scored a lot of goals. You know what I mean? Look at down the road at Kevin Keegan. It was attack, and you know what I mean, they let goals in, but they seem to score more goals, and fans enjoy that excitement. You know what I mean? That I know I spoke at the start of the season that I wanted to see a little bit more of the Cranker style. I didn't want to see the style because I wouldn't be more bored to tears.
I'm pleased you said that.
I meant clean sheets, foundations, building from the back. Listen, we're keeping more clean sheets. You know what I mean? It could have been very easy on Tuesday to score 4 and let one in at the other end right at the end. You know what I mean? Because we've won the game. But for me, the clean sheet, it gains confidence for the goalkeeper, the back four, who I think has been outstanding for weeks. I know we've had a couple of blips, but the bigger picture is we just need to continue in keeping clean sheets, scoring goals, and building confidence throughout the team, because it's not about the attackers, it's not about the midfielders. Everyone attacks, everyone defends in certain aspects of the game, and it's so important that we get the right balance in terms of a defensive unit and attacking units as well.
Indeed. Right, you've got a question for Andy, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a question for you both, actually, because obviously, Andy, I've known you for a short period of time, same as you, Dave, and you've got a question as well, Dave, so you're not getting away with this one.
All right.
So I'll start with you, Andy, because I think this is going to be interesting. What's the best game you played in, and why?
The best game I played in was we played Man United on a Monday night live on Sky at the Riverside. We got beat 4-3. Managed to score the first goal in the game. It was when Paul Scholes scored a worldie off a corner, came back and he smashed it in the top corner. The game's probably more famous for the offside, which was miles onside, by the way, which we all had to go to the linesman about. We all had to come out and apologise straight after, and it was one of those games that he enjoyed playing in. I enjoyed going home after, thinking about it, even watching it, and even though we lost the game, I was still proud that we gave the best team in the world at the time a run for the money. We scared them into submission in terms of they knew they were in the game. And I think sometimes when you're playing against good sides and good players, that as long as you know they've been in the game, you've done your job, because we couldn't lace their boots. You know, I'm not being disrespectful to our players, but you know what I mean. We know David Beckhams, we know Dwight York, Andy Cole, Paul Scholes, Yap Stams. You know what I mean. They had a world class side. They won everything. They won a lot. But we give them a run for the money. We should have probably picked the result up. We should have done something in the game in terms of positive result. But you know what I mean, for me, that was the best game I've ever played in. It was electric. The atmosphere was great.
Is that from a Boro perspective or best game ever?
That was the best game I've ever played in. You know, I've played in some games with good players, but it had everything. You know what I mean? I had a goal personally for myself. It had some brilliant goals, which you just stand on the pitch when Paul Scholes scored. You stand on the pitch and think, wow, I'm stood on the pitch and I've watched that. You know, when you watch a goal on TV, you think, I've witnessed the best goal I've ever seen. I witnessed that goal on the pitch and thinking, when you hit it, you know it's a goal, and you probably shout a few explanations to yourself, or you're not happy that certain things have happened in the game, but you're stood there thinking, I can try and affect the game. I can try and help out fans, teammates, manager, myself, but you're involved in one of the best games that season probably had, especially a live game on Sky. So it was a great occasion for me to play in those kind of games.
Yeah, cool. There you go. There's the answer, mate.
And this question is to you, Dave.
I was hoping you'd forgotten it.
I haven't forgotten anything. As many of you people will know, Dave used to be a referee. Mm-hmm. So what's the best player you have ever refed, and why is he the best player you've ever refed?
Did he ever ref you? I used to referee games at the Boro behind closed doors. Did I ref you?
Yeah, because we had
Andy Campbell. There you go. There's the answer.
We had a couple of games. We did a lot of games behind closed doors to work on certain things and to work on certain new rules and stuff. So that's why we always had.
Gaza was there in one of them.
Oh, I've got to be Gaza.
Funny story about Gaza, because we had one of those behind closed doors games. Was that at the Riverside?
Yeah, we had one at the Riverside.
Yeah, it was at the Riverside.
Saturday morning. We had Saturday morning games at the Riverside.
Yeah, and what happened, there were a couple of young lads drafted in to make up the numbers to play in the game, and one of them nutmegged Paul Gascoigne. Can't remember who it was for the life of me, but Gaza chased this kid. He chased him behind the goal, down the touchline, and eventually kicked him up the backside. And I had to chase after him because I was wondering what was going to go on, so I ran after him. So Gaza, you can imagine him, he kicks this lad up the backside because he nutmegged him. He turns round and I'm standing there and he goes, "Oh, sorry, ref, you know I'm a nutter." That's all he said.
I'm sure, Dave. You refed. It was one of the best games I think I've ever played personally. We had one of those games at the Riverside. We all had to meet at the Riverside. It was reserves against the first team. It was the manager's team who was going to play against Everton on the Monday night or the Tuesday night at Goodison. So the reserves got set up. Gordon McQueen did our team, and we went there just to make the numbers up. We were 5-0 up at half time against the first team, which was going to play against Everton. I'd scored 3. Second half was a bit more quieter, but I think we won 5-1 or something. And it was one of the best games I've ever played. And straight after that game, I ended up starting against Everton on the Tuesday. I had a decent game. I think we got beat 1-0. But it was just one of those games where everything went right. And I remember Gary Pallister. I think I seen Pally in the arm on the night, and he wouldn't speak to me. He was boiling with me. I just ran around him and like for a full couple of hours, and but he knew that. He knew what my attributes were: pace, power. You know what I mean? He came to us as more of an experienced defender, and but no, what a top defender. But no, he's he didn't like me that day.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm just trying to think outside of doing those behind closed doors games. I refereed Alan Smith once at Leeds. But that was what was it called? It's got a different name now. But was that the under 20s Premier League something or other? I can't remember.
Yes,
it was when it first started.
It was like the Alliance League, wasn't it? I think I was in the Alliance League.
And so we had that game. I didn't ref it. It was Mike Dean refed it.
Did he?
I was his assistant. So I was there at Leeds.
He was a tough character, Al.
Yeah. And I mean, I did him for offside. I just flagged him for offside. He scored a goal and I flagged him for offside. He was offside. And mind you, I wouldn't tell you I got the decision wrong, would I? And we didn't have VAR then, so nobody could prove it right or wrong. No, I flagged him for offside and he told me where to go. He'd go forth and multiply. And
sounds like him.
And I thought, do I? Don't I? You know, bearing in mind what the game is. And then I got a shout from Mike Dean. He went, "Dave, I heard it. Leave it to me." And he sent him off. And he got... The coach came on the field and just threw a top at him, training top. And he went, "Get that on, get in the changing rooms, wait for me. I'll deal with you when the game's over." Yeah. But that was Smithy even as a young player. And he was great.
Yeah, he was a top player, you know what I mean? And a proper Leeds fan, wore his heart in his sleeve. And they had a top youth team. Them, back in the day, they had the best players. You know what I mean? The Harry Kewells, Jonathan Woodgates, the Stephen McPhails. They had a really, really Ian Hart. Paul Robinson. Yeah, they had an unbelievable setup,
didn't they?
Unbelievable squad, and they all went on to play in the first team.
Yeah.
And that's how when you get things right. As football clubs, you have an era of getting things right. That was their era of when they got it right. Yeah. Sorry, any Leeds player, I forgot it there, by the way.
No, don't apologise. I played it at the weekend.
Reeled everybody off there.
Brilliant stuff, right? Thanks for that, mate. Thanks for giving us a shout and coming on.
Cheers, Dave.
All right, mate.
Enjoy.
Cheers, right. All the best.
Take care, son.
Cheers, mate. So I took points off Sunderland with his Plymouth hat on, and obviously supporting the Boro with his Boro hat on. Good lad. We like him. If you want to get a call through, put a comment through, you can. Just give us a shout. 0330 043 2002. We've had some come through on YouTube, because we're also live on YouTube as well. Let's just I'll bring you that one up. YouTube comments come in from Stu Campbell. Being honest, where does your heart and your head think we'll finish this season?
I'm guessing that's my dad.
Is it?
I'm guessing.
Is your dad called Stu?
Yeah, it is.
I know Stu used to be a referee, so he's not.
Dad. No, so that's Paul's dad, isn't it, Stu?
Yeah, that's right.
Paul and Paul's dad. So I know the family. I used to play with Paul.
Are you related?
No,
you just we
just played together for like.
You're
years
like magnets. You're attracted because of surname.
Surname,
that's fine.
I think that's my old man. What was the question? Sorry.
The question is heart and head. Where do you think the Boro's going to finish?
My heart, I'd love to say playoffs right now. I would love to say playoffs because I think
I'd take 6. You
know what I mean? If someone offered me 6 last game of the season where Coventry finished last year, I'd snap people's hands off. But realistically, if I had to put something on it right now, I'd probably say between 8 and 10. Just because.
Is this heart or head talking now?
This is probably my head.
Right.
I just think it's the inconsistency of the season. Not right now. We're playing better now. It's just how hard the championship is. You know, I mean, I'd love us to think that we're going to blow teams away, but I think there's going to be a few more defeats along the way. There's going to be a few more roller coasters, a few more injuries. The January window is going to be massive. I think for us, massive in terms of who we look at bringing in. I know we spoke, Dave, didn't we, about Akpom, who started to play and score and play well at Ajax. So those kind of things, and the players that we want to try and bring in, I think it's going to be pivotal to where we're going to finish towards the end of the season, I think. Yeah. It's going to be intriguing anyway.
I can't disagree with her, actually, because obviously my heart's always going to say we're going to get in the playoffs. I'm not foolish enough to let it rule my head completely and say we're going to win the league, because we can't. I'm questioning, though.
Yeah, I just think if we can,
it's bizarre, isn't it? Because Bristol City, Leicester City happened.
Yeah,
we're all high. You just naturally think what a great result is. That's going to propel us forward, positive way. We're going to be in the playoffs, and then you do the Bristol City. You go, oh, if we're going to throw points away against a Bristol City, then what chance do we stand? But then you go and stick 4 against Preston. It's like it's this seesaw, isn't
totally.
it?
And that's the thing. And I think you go into the Leeds game probably now thinking, well, we won a game, so we can probably afford to drop some points. Football doesn't work like that, especially if you want to get promoted. You can't afford to drop points. Whereas
we might have been able to afford to drop points had we have done Bristol City.
Yep, totally.
Because to do Leicester, Bristol City, and then Preston, you go to Leeds and think Elland Road's going to be tough,
especially with. It's not a 6-pointer, but it's the difference between closing that gap. You know what I mean? Because you're going to close the gap on Preston again. You're going to close the gap on Leeds, who are ahead of you. So it's super important that we make sure that. For me, I'd like to think that we can pick a positive result. I know it's going to be difficult, but I'd take a draw. But is a draw enough in order to move forward and be the positive playoff contenders that we all want us to be?
Couple of comments coming in about Leeds. Damon says we need to go to Leeds full of confidence, start on the front foot, and if we do that, we can win 2-1. Stu Golly, I'm not worried about going to. Let's just say he's added a letter to the front of Elland Road. Dirty Leeds. They need to worry about us. So
I think they will be. By the way, I think they will. I think they'll show us a respect. I think we've got to really get at them and upset the crowd a little bit like we did against Sunderland.
Yeah, we
need that kind of stubbornness. We need that kind of hit on the brake. We need that. We need to cause them a problem and make sure that they don't hurt us. I look at the Sunderland game and Jack Clark should have scored. Roberts should have scored, and then the game's very different on the stroke of half time with a red card. moments can change games. We could be coming back next week. Leeds could have had a man sent off in the first half and we can win 4-0.
That's what I was going to say. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. But
if it doesn't happen, if the extraordinary doesn't happen, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be listen. But these are the games that the manager wants to be involved in. These are the games that the players want to be involved in. More importantly, these are the games that the fans want to go to. You know what I mean? Every man and his dog's desperate for a Leeds ticket. Every man and his dog who's got one is excited for the weekend.
Yeah.
We're all no different. It's going to be a huge game. I'm surprised that TV haven't got hold of it. I'll be honest. I thought it would have been a massive game, a massive opportunity lost that they haven't got one. But hopefully we'll do what we need to do.
It's a bit of a derby battle. It's a bit of a Yorkshire derby battle. Maybe Leeds won't have that because they'll probably look south to Sheffield and all that sort of stuff.
They won't accept that,
but they don't like us.
No.
What's your starting 11? Tracy's asking. I don't think we have much option with the injuries, do we?
No, I listen. I think you can't look at any different in the starting 11 what was Tuesday night. You can't win 4-0 and change many things. You know what I mean? Will he replace Josh and go a little bit more physical than Latte Lath, who'll do more running in behind? Would I swap those two? Potentially. I think Josh would give us a little bit more against the Leeds defence, a little bit more physicality. So if I was going to make one change, that would probably be it. But it takes a brave manager to change anything after a 4-0 win. But Michael's in charge, and whatever decision he makes, I'll back it because he's doing it for the right of the team. And who would doubt what he does? Because he's an absolute magician at the minute with his tactics, and I'm sure he'll get a tactic spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the final point coming in on Facebook Live is from Stu Gawley. Dave, are you having a senior moment? Thanks, mate. I think that was because I couldn't remember. Did I referee you or not in those games? Yeah, maybe that was it. Stu, love you, but thank you. I think that's it for the comments so far. So, prediction time. My God, I hate going to Leeds. I really do hate going to Leeds. I don't like the fans. Yeah. I don't like the atmosphere. I don't like the stadium.
I talk about players. These are the kind of games you want to go there as a player. I like the game. I never had a positive outcome, so I hated then the next time you go there because you just don't seem to. There's always places you don't get positive results at. And when I was at Middlesbrough, when I was at Cardiff, when I was at Bolton, when I was at Sheffield United, I didn't come away with nothing at all. And it was just a case of one of those places that the game was good, the atmosphere is brilliant, but no, can't stand the place.
I'm the same, mate.
Can't stand the place.
Exactly the same.
And that's what makes me worry again, because go there as a fan, I've never had any joy.
Do you know what?
I've never had any joy.
I'm going to admit to something here that I wouldn't normally admit to. If we came away 1-0 defeat, I wouldn't be bitterly disappointed.
Yeah.
Because it'll have just shown that we've held our own to a certain extent.
Yeah. Stayed in the game.
Stayed in the game. We've had a go, and all right. There's been one moment of brilliance or a slip at the back or whatever it is, and they've taken advantage of it. Yeah. But obviously, excuse me, senior moment with my chest. But obviously, my heart's telling me we can get something out of the game.
Yeah. Listen, we're all Boro fans. We all want us to do well. We all want a positive result. We're talking head and heart. My heart will want us to get a positive result, and I take a 1-1 draw. My head probably overrules, and I think Leeds will just nick it. I'd like to think that we give it a go and we give something. I don't think we can afford as a group to go there and take a beating. You know what I mean?
That's what because that's what I wouldn't want to happen.
Because I look at Preston. Preston came to the Riverside on Tuesday as a confident group in the playoffs, and they go and get beat by a team below them 4-0 and comfortably 4-0. Should have been, or could have been more.
Could have been 6.
Leeds are going into the game confident. You know what I mean? Listen, anything can happen. But what I don't think we need right now and currently is a heavy defeat. We need to make sure that we stay in the game, like we did at Sunderland. We need to make sure that we take our chances if we get any. But the longer we stay in the game, the more chance we'll have of getting a positive result, even if that's a 0-0 draw. And if we go 1-0 down, then you regroup, you go again. 1 doesn't turn into 2, 2 doesn't turn into 3. Yep. And the Bristol City thing is, if you let a goal in the first half, see it out till half time, and we go in at 1-0, and then we regroup and we go again, and we change our tactics accordingly. But what we can't afford to do is give any team, but especially good sides, that 2-goal cushion. Because when you give Leeds, Leicester's top sides, even Sunderland and some of the others, Southampton, you go 2-0 down against good sides like that, you're not coming back, and it could get worse and heavy.
Cracking, mate. I think we've done it once more. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Enjoyed it. and we'll be back, same place, same time.
Same time.
Next week. We haven't talked about Christmas yet because that's going to be a busy spell for everybody.
Yeah.
But catch us next week. Cam's Red Army with Andy Campbell, former Boro striker. Get your comments in, and we'll take your calls as well live into the studio. But we'll catch you next week, mate.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Fantastic.
He's pulled the shirt on, scored the goals. Andy Campbell on the red.
This is the Red.